Hi, welcome to a new angle of my kitchen. Usually we're working right here or we're working over at the stove. I've never included the whole scene before. Today we're going back there to do a pantry tour. Come along with me. This is my baking cabinet. It's a disaster. It needs some help, but it is what it is. Come have a look. On this side of the cabinet we have things that are used almost every day. So we have our teas, our cereal products, the granola I just made a few videos ago, and some purchased box cereal, my ingredients for my morning smoothies, and some spices. This is the overflow of the large packets. The spice cabinet that we use most often is right behind the camera. I'll show you that in a minute. Over here on this side we have all the gluten-free goods and the regular goods mixed in together. So, have you ever heard of this brand? Arva? Arva Flour Mill since 1819. I found this in our local grocery store. I'm going to try that out. That's for a spicy carrot cake mix. I think there's another one here for plain muffin mix. This cabinet needs to be organized so badly. I have all kinds of gluten-free mixes, Purist brand. We get this stuff at our local grocery store. I'll do a video very soon about making some gluten-free products for mixes to try out the brand. I have tried one of the Purist brand pie crusts, and I was using it for chicken pot pie, and the pie crust was too sweet for chicken pot pie, so it would have been fine for apple pie or pumpkin pie or lemon or something sweet, but it wasn't great for the chicken pot pie, so I'm going to have to come up with another recipe. I've got dozens of books on that. I just have to do it. And if you saw my recent cookie video, I don't bake very often, and I needed that one tool, the timer, to help me maybe get it right, and it made all the difference in the world. Let's see if it helps with these things too. And then we have our bulk rice and our dried beans and just flour and stuff like that. It's no big deal. It's just a baking cupboard. There are only two of us in the house, so there's not a lot of baking that gets done, because if we bake sweet goods, we're going to eat the sweet goods, and both of us could use to watch our waistlines a little. Now that's spice cabinet. So here's the spice cabinet. It's got lots of different varieties of things. The top shelf's empty. There's a lot of variety. Some of it's matching and coordinating and tidy and all lined up, and then it kind of, it all goes to pot. There's a lot of stuff in there. This is a built-in unit. So this is paneling, and this was just built separately and then wedged between a couple of 2x4s. It's beautiful. I love it. If you've been around for any length of time with my channel, you've seen me sit at the table and write lists and things, and you've seen me with the barn door behind me. So now come on over and see a little further. Here on this shelf I am far enough away from the sun of the window that I can have my spices and herbs here. So I have all my dried goods here. I have some goldenrod and some mullein and lavender tincture and mullein blossoms and calendula blossoms and all of those things that are in oil. Some I did a video on spruce tip tea. They're all here in my cast iron collection. I do use these. Let's start with this fridge. This is just a spare fridge. We keep our eggs ready for sale. We have cabbages that we're going to use for coleslaw or sauerkraut or cabbage soup. And then we have our cold drinks and cream for the coffee and things like that. The fridge in the kitchen has a freezer in the bottom, and that works great for the man who is over 6 foot tall and doesn't want to bend down to see what's in the bottom of the fridge. It's brought the fridge up to knee level instead. So this spare freezer has given us a spot to have our vegetables, our frozen vegetables. The freezer in the kitchen has our packages that are open and packages that we're using currently, and this is our storage of our, this is tomatoes and our apple pie filling and our frozen vegetables and things like that. My collection for vegetable broth. This one is interesting. I don't know if you can read that or not. I have chicken feed in there. I brought in some Brussels sprouts and started chopping them up and preparing them for her to harvest them, and they were buggy. So I just immediately chopped them and put them in a bag and froze them. The chickens will eat that. They'll love it. They love the leaves off the Brussels sprouts. So that's it. That's my freezer. Here on the back wall between my medicinal herbs and my spare fridge, I have a freezer. It's not large. It's an apartment size. I don't even know how many square feet it is anymore. This thing's been around since 2006, so I'm lucky that it's still running. I'll keep it as long as it goes. We're just a family of 2, so we don't have to have a large freezer, but what we do have has to work properly and has to function for the space it uses. We do have some frozen veggies here. They really should be in the other freezer, but this works for today. This basket is things that we're going to grab quickly, or things that will get lost in this is a pound of butter. Things that would get lost in the bottom of the freezer. Some sausages. That's easy. Do you ever look into a chest freezer and go, oh, where is it? I can't find anything. My method is a little different. So I have these bags of things that are large bags. They're easy to get out of the way. Once they're open, they'll go in the other freezer underneath the fridge in the kitchen. But we keep all of our products in a grocery bag. So this is full of chickens, like a rooster that I harvested a few months ago. This bag is full of chicken. This bag is full of beef. They're even color coded. Yellow would be the chicken, because chicken is typically a lighter color, and then the dark red for the red beef. There's not much in here. I just have a couple of packages of steaks. We're gonna have to go to Costco. We're planning a trip on Tuesday next week, and I'll do a grocery haul video when I come home from Costco. But we're gonna be looking for beef for sure. And then down here we have our bag of pork. We have a few cuts that we got from the grocery store, and we have cuts that we got from a neighbor. A couple of more bags of tomatoes because there was room for them, and that is that. So you've seen the bakery cabinet, you've seen the fridge and the freezer and the medicinal goods and my spices. What's left? Well, like any standard house, there's stuff in the kitchen, like the canned goods that you're going to use every day, the tuna, the soup, the blah, 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 all that stuff. But we still have we still have 2 more sections to go through. So what on earth is behind the barn door? Why is there a barn door in the middle of your dining room? Easy peasy. This is my laundry room, and my pantry is attached to it. It's sort of a little double room. It's really strangely designed, but it works really well. See, there's the pantry. This isn't a very large shelf. I'm 5'7", and this is probably 4.5, maybe 48 inches, 50 inches high. It's one of those steel baker shelves from Walmart or wherever, a hardware store or something. In here, I did recently go through here and try to organize it, but you know, this shelf is bottles of things, so you don't want to be crouching around on your hands and knees looking at the label of the salad dressing or the little can of tuna way at the back. And I purchased some crackers recently for Christmas, so they're good. They're there. We have guests coming this year. I have my canned goods, my soups, my dried pasta, just simple things. And then down lower I have the heavier items. To keep this shelf from being wobbly, I've got the heavy stuff at the bottom. So I have more cans of I have canned beans over there. I have coconut water and almond milk. And a can of juice. And then down on the bottom, way down here, down here on the bottom, I have some more canned goods. They're tomato paste, tomato sauce. Those are things I purchased before I started my own harvest and my own canning of tomato products. So we have a lot to go through. The foil back, One year I had our first spring here. Yeah, this weekend we will have been here for 2 years. Our first spring here, I used this shelf to do my plant starts, and I had only a few lights. I used this as a reflector to bring more light into the plant starts. Okay, and the last section, the part that everybody's waiting for. This space is only 2.5 feet wide, so it's really hard to get the camera in here, but I can show you what I've got going on. This is all of my canned goods. This was an empty space when we moved in, and I built it. It's not the greatest looking thing. It's very, very solid, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to hold so many jars on here that I wouldn't have a problem. So we'll start at the top, and I'll explain my rotation. What I have basically is anything that's in cases, we're done this year. Anything that's loose in jars needs to be used up. So it's the stuff from last year. I have my salsas and my salsas and my cowboy candies are on the top. Things that I can do gift baskets with or entertaining. Pickled beets and pickles. But in here behind, there are more cases of things. Back there I've got cases of soup. Here on this shelf, I have this little wire shelf rack thing. They're meant to be a stacking unit. I only have one, and it works perfect for keeping the stacks of jars apart. Up here on the top, up here you can see I do have cases stacked. It's okay to stack your canned goods if you have a layer of cardboard in between. I would never stack a jar on top of a jar because that can hide a false seal. These have been around for a while. This is squash, and it's not pureed. It was cubed when it went in there, and it has it's mushed a bit while when it pressure canned. I like to have this on hand for the dog when she gets an upset stomach. I can use this, or I can throw it in a pot and mash it up instead of mashed potatoes. So I won't stack those like that. I'll put a sheet of cardboard between them. Oh, right here I have a couple stacked, and there is a sheet of cardboard in between. I have one extra jar of pickles. I just didn't have room to put it on the shelf, so I had to stack it a little. So here I have my, oh, I missed this. I forgot to tell you guys about this. I have green tomato curry. It is basically green tomatoes and onions and all the spices and seasonings you put in a curry sauce. I can open that and pour it over chicken, have the rice on the side, and that's a meal ready to go. All you have to do is warm this through. Or you could, instead of chicken, you could put chickpeas, or if you really want the protein boost, you put in both. That's a hit. My youngest son loves that. Here I have broth and broth and broth. And Dan likes his ramen, so he can come in and he can grab a can of broth and make up his ramen and have his lunch ready to go. No salt. I do these with no salt, so he can season up his food as he likes. Corn. More broth. This is my vegetable broth and my tomato broth. When I was doing my tomatoes in a crock pot, I would ladle off the liquid, and that became my tomato broth. It's a great soup base. You can drink it as tomato juice too. If it's got a bit of pulp in it, you just shake it up and drink it as tomato juice, but we use it as a soup base. Especially when we're doing cabbage soup, we can throw in a jar of stewed tomatoes and then throw in 2 or 3 pints of this broth and boost up our boost up our cabbage soup. So down here I just have a few more things. I've labeled everything. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. Right there I have just some painter's tape, so that as things change and as things get moved and as I come into a new year, I can rotate that out, I can change that sign. The jars that are fresher are still in the cases so that they can be shoved to the back and they're easy to retrieve. The things that need to be used first are at the front or not in a case. That's my soup and chili and apple butter. And then down on the bottom I have duplicates of things. So I've got cases of one that's mixed, one that's more chicken broth, and then more stewed tomatoes and tomato soup. And my vinegar. Oh, and my kombucha. My SCOBY hotel. Kombucha, anyone? I've got my my bottles of kombucha in the the spare fridge. And here, bottled water. These ones still have the rim on them. At that point, when I started using my pressure canner, I didn't know about leaving the rings off. Sometimes when my canner is not quite full and the jars are threatening to tip over, especially if I'm using the water bath canner, and if the jars are wobbly in the rack in the bottom of the canner, I'll throw in a jar of water and I'll water bath can that or pressure can that so that I don't have jars falling over. And then it's an emergency stash of jars. I can empty this anytime I want, or it's an emergency stash of water. So now that I've gone through all of that, what's for dinner? I have no idea. I have to figure that out because it's 3 o'clock, and if I have to defrost something, I gotta get on it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and share it with your friends, and consider subscribing. I like that. I'll have to make a what's for dinner video. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'll see you next time.